Hi and welcome to IndigoStarfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into what does Spirit want you to know about love and romance at this time. There are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Amber. Group 2 is the Clear Quartz. Group 3 is the Blue Kyanite. And Group 4 is the Rose Quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Amber. So I'm going to start with some tarot to get an introduction to what Spirit wants to talk about today as far as love and romance is concerned. Okay, so we've got the King of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. 10 of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Hanged Man, which is Pisces. 10 of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. 3 of Wands, so more fire energy. And Judgment, which is Scorpio. So there's the energy of realization here as a major theme for what Spirit wants to touch on. This can tie into somebody that you have maybe been seeing for a while. Things have been kind of building, but then maybe have reached some kind of a plateau where perhaps this individual has taken some time away from the connection, maybe investing in work. It could be a little bit of making excuses, or where you're uncertain, are they making excuses or not? But it feels almost with this 3 of Pentacles that legitimately they have had other things which have kind of created a necessary pause, break, or sort of like a holding pattern in this situation. And in this period of separation, in this period of, they're able to spend less time with you, it's less of the face-to-face interaction, there's a lot of sort of like introspection that's going on. A sense of really this distance and space having served, it feels like most specifically this individual very well, to where previously they may have been just caught up in the motions of the connection, just very present, very engaged in the situation. And it's almost like absence makes the heart grow fonder in this circumstance, in this situation. So this can almost be a little bit of a prelude for some of you where maybe this has yet to occur, but there have been suggestions about somebody who is taking on more clients, something switching as far as their work schedule is concerned. Taking on more hours, taking on more duties and responsibilities. And it's almost the sense of kind of like peeling away from one another, and some trepidation or hesitation that may be occurring on your part. Like, is this going to, sabotage the connection? Is this going to be a burden on the connection? Can we survive kind of this period of distance between the two of us, especially if it's a newer connection, something where maybe even possibly with Judgment, this is like a reconciliation where you and someone from the past have kind of come back together. You've agreed to work on things, to release the burdens of the past, clear the slate, and start fresh in the circumstance and situation. But then again, kind of these outside factors, most likely related to work, that are pulling them or even you in another direction. And there's a sense of panic, like this ideal, this goal, this kind of emotional contentment, this closeness that we have been trying to build, the intimacy we've been trying to build with one another, the goals or the long-term dreams that you envision in this situation, a sense of panic that if you almost peel your attention away from the circumstance and situation, are they still going to be there when you get back? Are they going to be engaged with you? Is this something that the distance is going to act as a form of adversity to the connection? And so there could be definitely a struggle for you to, maybe take some opportunity, take on more of that responsibility, or if it's, the other side of the coin, and this person is the one who has needed to sort of move off in another direction, not due to any kind of like cold feet, not due to, any kind of like fear or panic, but it feels legitimately with this 10 of Wands and the 3 of Pentacles as like they have a lot of things, a lot of responsibilities, a lot on their plate right now in the material world. So maybe if they haven't even, expressed this really to you, they've just sort of, you may be wondering, like, are they making up excuses? Is this just kind of a way to sort of slip out the back door? Or are we going to fall back into, repeating the pattern of being disconnected, being estranged from one another? Maybe this is something that you've experienced in your romantic past. And so it's triggering a bit of like fears, kind of ghost of the past for you. If it's a new person, you don't necessarily have kind of that history or that back and forth. But it may be a lot of the same kind of vibrations or situation in the form of, is this an excuse? Why, if everything has been going so well, is there all of a sudden, this course correction in another way? Is this just them trying to take the easy way out in some manner? So definitely a period of time where you might be needing to face some fears, being shown in a very sort of direct and yet subtle manner, where you're almost tethered or tied still to wounds of the past, things you thought you had healed from, maybe like even in conjunction with the idea of healing being kind of a spiral or a cycle. It's not a linear path. It's something that we can often sort of face old wounds again with a different perspective and from a different vantage point. So for some of you, this could be again like opening up some old wound, something from even a long distant relationship, like distant in your past. You would close that door. It was over and done with. Maybe even something that happened to you when you were younger, and here decades later, you're in a whole other connection. And yet that same kind of like fear or panic or insecurity is coming up. Like, is this a repeat of that same situation? So sort of like in the interim, during this period of distance that may have recently been created, is about to be created, this is kind of that cue or that indicator of whatever that sense of kind of panic within you about allowing this person to disconnect or sort of direct their focus elsewhere for a period of time. This might be something that is revealing to you a bit of codependency that you might need to sort of like chip away at, while they're kind of otherwise occupied with matters in the material world, maybe some big kind of like project, something they've been working on as far as work, again, a lot of stress in that capacity in the material world, something very innocent, but also something very, time consuming on their part, rather than just kind of like sitting in this energy of worry, that it's almost an invitation for you to do some heavy lifting, to do some hard work, to reapproach maybe that element of wounding within yourself that has been kind of dwelling in the shadow. During this almost, it feels kind of like a divinely orchestrated or, it's the perfect time to kind of address these things, because there really is the indication, this King of Pentacles, this is like a trustworthy, solid, stable, reliable energy, that whatever this distance is that's needing to be created, whatever, sort of other commitments or things that need to be attended to in the material world, whether this is on your part or their part, that it's something, it's almost the idea like with this kind of building and these plans right here, here, it's a project, it's something very finite. It's not just this is the new way that things are going to be in this situation. It's almost got like a start date and an end date. So this can talk about like, business somewhere else, maybe for, several weeks or a month or several months. It's a need for geographic distance between the two of you, or some kind of like a project or something that's needing to be filled in on, or, starting a new career, branching out in some new way. It'll be different for everybody, where it's just there's not as much time, like hours in the day or in this person's like personal life or in your personal life, to be able to devote in a more hands-on manner to the connection. It doesn't feel like total disconnect, but it's almost just your interactions with one another are going to be minimized. They may be things that are kind of like at a distance. So again, if they're kind of needing to go somewhere else geographically for a period of time, you may be forced to, kind of like FaceTime with one another, chat over the phone, text, email, direct message on social media, which might be a contrast to, kind of the face-to-face interactions you're having. You might be kind of nervous about that, especially if it's a new relationship. Are we going to survive this period of being at a distance from one another? Kind of these panic and fear about like, are they talking to somebody else? Are they seeing someone else in this other place? Kind of what's going on, what's happening in the long term? Am I ready for this? Are they ready for this? All of these kind of like fears circling. And it may even be something with these two tens right here that it's kind of mirrored within both of you. Again, it feels to be something that is really ultimately will serve the long-term potential in the connection, because it's like this necessary space that is created for the two of you, but not motivated out of a place of fearing the intensity or the nature of the connection, but just in a very practical manner. There's some breathing room that's created. So Spirit is really guiding you to kind of look at it from this angle, to really curb any sort of tendency to panic within yourself, or when that arises, to sort of, with this Hanged Man, kind of reframe the way that you're looking at that, rather than feeding into that fear, adding to that burden, creating all this emotional anguish and kind of like creating these narratives and these worst case scenarios, and just almost like working yourself up into a panic of kind of like a defeatist attitude, or even something which could manifest as like a self-fulfilling prophecy, to instead almost like take a pause and choose another way to look at this, rather than kind of like leaping to those conclusions, taking the opportunity to turn that lens within and see what are these feelings. And because it doesn't feel to be anything that the indicator is given, that it's anything other than what it appears to be on the surface, that it's very legitimate, like more work is necessary, work out of town, some kind of just like a temporary period of distance is necessary between the two of you, either initiated on your side or their side, but that there's some resulting feelings that might come up that, you have the opportunity then to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that, find that core reason, and really accomplish some profound, it feels like healing and release of some deeply embedded kind of like core wounds surrounding love and partnership that you might not have even known were still lurking within you. They almost like with this Wands energy and the Cups energy, this is etheric stuff. This is like energetic cords that in some way will surface for you. Maybe you have just kind of recently stepped into this situation right here, and it's something where you're already kind of feeling that dissonance and that sort of panic, these kind of like worst case scenarios and jumping to conclusions, and just kind of like doom and gloom thinking, or a lot of paranoia or panic. And so that can be something that really is that cue or indicator to sort of take a step back, take a breath, dive deeply within, because there's more to this sensation than meets the eye. This can also, though, for some of you, relate to somebody that you have just kind of like met, you've just started talking to. They have all the makings of like that partner that you've really been looking for. There are indicators here of happily ever after, but it may be something that just in those kind of fledgling stages, in that very new stage, you find yourself confronting again that idea of like ghosts of the past really sort of surfacing from within you, that everything's going really well. On the surface, things are working, you're building in a progression, you're laying a really good foundation with one another, and yet there's this sense of burden. There's this sense of almost like a third party energy in the situation from your end of the circumstances coming up from within. It's that doubt that's creeping back in. It's almost bringing to mind the idea of like standing in the way of your your own blessings in a sense, or tying yourself up into knots, maybe in your mind, or even just these kind of emotional knots, a sense of dread within you of like, I don't want to fall so deeply for somebody again, only to be let down. I don't want to go through what I just went through, or what I went through that time, or what I went through with that particular person. Maybe this is something where you've detached recently from an individual that, you know, you were heavily invested in. It was a very turbulent connection. You've chosen to sort of move in another direction and open yourself up to love and romance in the form of like a deep soulmate connection, for example. And this can really signal sort of the entry of that person, that very kind of solid, stable, grounded, and reliable connection that although there'll be, you know, growing pains with that, it won't necessarily be something very linear. This is almost indicating that not to give up hope when this person kind of emerges, or if this is somebody that you've recently met or are going to meet in the very immediate future, you know, to kind of just learn to flow with this. It's kind of a cautionary tale right here that at a certain point, you're almost going to feel so comfortable with this person, or such a sense of like, this really feels good, in a contrast to what you had dealt with before or recently, that left you with a lot of like a feeling of dissonance in the healing work that you've done within. But that there may be need once again, or from this different level or layer, to like disconnect yourself from some particular narrative of things going badly. Like just because they've fallen apart in other circumstances, or maybe the last person that you opened your heart to, you know, betrayed your trust, let you down, you know, ran from you. It was just kind of like this giant drama in the circumstance. Trusting in the healing work that you've done within yourself, but then also, you know, not kind of like undermining that in a sense, if these very sort of like almost like necessary fears of the past surface again, so that with the new tools that you have kind of learned, cultivated for yourself during this period of like picking up the pieces the last time around, you know, you're able to kind of face and address these things and get more deeply into the root to extract and kind of remove those energetic tethers, so that you're able to move forward in the direction of, you know, a different kind of future with this individual. Writing actively a new sort of, you know, ending for yourself in a lot of ways as far as romance is concerned. So there's a lot of encouragement here of kind of letting go of that burden, letting go of that fear of, you know, the history kind of repeating itself, which again, it feels like something that'll almost kind of creep up very unexpectedly, that you may have thought that you healed that, but in some manner there's still almost here on this hanged man imagery, it's just one kind of like loose sort of binding that is holding this foot. So this doesn't feel to be something that, you know, as this surfaces, that it's going to be very difficult for you to turn that gaze inward, address what it is, and kind of neutralize that from within yourself. But it is going to require you to almost, you know, take some action steps, take a step back, you know, take that 3-second pause, put some things into perspective, really check in with yourself and say, you know, is this valid? Is this warranted? Or is this just a product of, you know, my fears and things I have dealt with in the past resurfacing? So it's a great opportunity to kind of learn, grow, and really put to rest once and for all sort of a neurological component, or some kind of like visceral or energetic component to the disappointment you have experienced in the past. You don't live there anymore. You've healed in a lot of ways from that, and it feels like the work that you've done is bringing in this new connection with somebody, or if it's somebody who's already kind of in your life at this point in time, you know, they're here for a reason, in order to kind of continue to move forward, grounding down into material reality, this sense of emotional contentment, and really working toward that 10 of Pentacles, that happily ever after in the material world. It's almost like spirit letting you know that there's still kind of this other binding that attaches you in the heart space and the emotional body to what you had experienced in the past, but it's not an insurmountable obstacle. It's just going to take kind of a rearranging, looking at things from a different perspective, not being so quick to call judgment, to call it quits, to just run with kind of those worst case scenarios or that fear-based thinking, but to really take that step back, trust, and kind of turn your gaze inward, see the situation and what you're feeling and what's really coming up for you from a different angle. And from that approach, it feels like something that you're able to easily kind of like drop that burden, release that, and move forward toward this new beginning, perhaps with someone from the past, or new beginning in the form of, a different connection. And most importantly, a different kind of connection than what you had experienced before, recently, cumulatively. This is like new energy right here, but it requires you freeing yourself from sort of this energetic tether in order to be able to step more fully into that. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got K, V, U, P, N, Q, E, G, and I. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the clear quartz. So let's see, what does Spirit want you to know as far as love and romance right now? Okay, so we've got the Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Sun, which is Leo. Knight of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Knight of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The World, which is fixed energy, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And the King of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So this Two of Wands really speaks to the energy of choice. It feels that for those of you who are single, you may have two potential suitors that will be approaching you in the very near future with this idea of the sun. It's kind of like you've moved out of a dark phase, maybe after having been single for a while or not really meeting anybody that you click with. And it's like the sun is here, you know, the bright new day is here, the new beginning is here, the dawning of a new day. This can tie into sort of further than that, either two people who are new to you, that, they're very different. One may be very kind of direct and, not really speaking kind of like loving words, but they may be somebody who's almost, gifts of love, kind of like actions of love, hand holding and intimacy in that kind of way. The other person may be almost more kind of like romantic and poetic, something that almost feels very idyllic, like it's, from a romantic movie or, a novel, something like that. Two very different, obviously, individuals, something that's more of kind of like a youthful spirit, something that's a little, and kind of like free, and just the possibilities are endless, what that could really amount to. Somebody else who's a little more kind of what you see is what you get, solid, stable, reliable, very direct, and kind of like what it is they're looking for, what it is that they can deliver, what it is that they intend. One of these individuals, it feels that it's almost sort of like words and promises are followed through with distinct actions. And the other person, there may be a lot to kind of read between the lines. They may really sort of tap into more of like the romantic part of yourself, the part that wants to feel kind of like wooed and courted and adored and desired. And so it's this very kind of like primal aspect of yourself, versus the other person who may be very endearing, very charming. They have a lot of qualities going for them, most specifically the fact of like the follow through and kind of the what you see is what you get kind of energy. But it's something that what they stir within you, the sense of potential that this one individual represents, it's different from, kind of this open road and kind of like endless possibilities that this other individual represents. So again, like a choice here. This may be something with the idea of the world. These are two people that you meet online, for example. There may be some kind of like geographic distance between you and both of these people. One of these people may live, in close proximity to you. Somebody else is at a distance. It's almost bringing to mind something even where, they're from two different worlds. Like these two suitors are so different from one another. We've got kind of like this youthful energy of the knight and then the mature energy of the king. So this can tie into like an age difference between the two of these people. Like they both have love to bring to the table. They both have romantic intentions to bring to the table, but it's a choice between, choosing either one of these people, going down that path with either one of these people. It's going to amount to a very different experience for you. With this idea of the world, it's also tying into that both of these people, as different as they may be, and as that kind of path that unfolds, one of these individuals, it may be sort of like if you choose them, it's a very linear progression to what might be, a stable or long-term commitment, possibly the makings of like a forever person. This other individual, it may be something that there's a little more kind of turbulence or things that are unknown. It's going to require a lot more faith, but ultimately it also has the potential to, lead to something long term. There may be, different kind of offerings of each of these people. One of them provides like the stability and the grounding and the sense of safety that maybe you've been craving or that has been missing in other connections. It feels like the other person really sort of tasks you to step beyond your comfort zone in some way. This other person really requires kind of like a leap of faith, going out on a limb in some manner. They may actually be the one who kind of like lives at a distance, something maybe about like what they do for work, the nature of their lifestyle. They like to travel a lot. They may be somebody who kind of opens up a whole new world to you, maybe even in terms of, cultural differences between you and them, just kind of different lifestyles and things and ideas and concepts. And it feels like a way of being loved or related to, romantically speaking, that is so different from what you've known and experienced in some way, that it's very alluring and at the same time brings up fears of the unknown. Because this other person is so compelling. Not that they're boring, it feels with this King of Pentacles energy right here, there's a stability to this, and yet it's also something, that this person knows how to have fun. They're no stick in the mud. They know how to really live life, to kind of like work hard and play hard. So it's a different sort of series of adventure and experiences, but something that may be more within your comfort zone. This can also tie into differences as far as like how you meet these individuals. One may be your usual usual type, your usual expectation. This other person's kind of a wild card. One person may kind of live an artistic lifestyle. They work on a commission basis. They're kind of like a free thinker, a creative type. This other person could be working toward a particular career path. They could own their own home, or they're interested in kind of like setting down roots, living in a more traditional lifestyle. So it's these two polarities that you're going to be presented with, it feels like, in the near future. Again, this idea of the sun is here. This is not further on the horizon. You're having to wait, on into this kind of infinite amount of time. It's like the gate is opening right here. You may already sense these people in your energy. For some of you, you've already encountered these people. It's possible one of them may kind of have professional connections with you in some way. Others may kind of appeal, or them through some kind of like creative pursuit, something to do even with sort of like school or communication or some kind of an artistry. Both of these people may seek you out in your workplace. So these could be customers or clients in some manner, vendors, co-workers, patrons of your establishment, just whatever that looks like in some manner. Both of these people are very confident. Both will pursue you. This is not an energy of you, having to put in all this heavy lifting in this situation. It really feels to be something that you're kind of like, you're stepping into this season of receiving back the love that you have given maybe so selflessly to others in the past that was like taken for granted. The arrival of these individuals, perhaps they're already in your awareness or are soon to come into the awareness. You may already know who these two choices are. There is also a possibility that's worth mentioning with this idea of the world, that this could be kind of like the new person comes in, they offer you this new sort of perspective, this new world, this new experience of what love can be, of what romance can be, of what kind of that buildup and that establishment of intimacy and trust and experience with one another can be. And lo and behold, somebody from your past that you had maybe written off as they're never coming back, you'd held out hope for as long as you could, and then you detached, healed your heart as best as you could, looked forward to the future and have successfully kind of like magnetized in or manifested a loving partnership. Maybe this is like a high level soulmate versus like a twin flame from the past, circles back around. They're ready to commit. They have something to offer you. With this idea of the King of Pentacles, it's like they've grown and evolved. So again, there's this temptation of like a true element of choice. Whatever this circumstance amounts to, it's something that it's a true choice. It may be a very difficult choice that you're needing to make. Even if it's somebody from the past that circles back around to you and that they're one of these two potential suitors, it feels like whatever they demonstrate to you, it is evidence that they have closed out some particular cycle in their life, that they have really worked through some difficulties that may have been serious issues and concerns in the situation in the past. What they bring forth to you is of such not just promises of change, but words and action of change, that you really have to like take time to evaluate the situation and say, which way do I go? Am I going to set forth into the unknown, or am I going to, invest my heart in what I had maybe been hoping would have come around perhaps a lot sooner? This can be somebody where this has been like a deep period of separation, a long-term period of separation, to where it's not just, very immediately you've kind of like given up hope and here they are. It's almost like time has passed. They have matured, maybe in terms of years, or there's been several cycles, like at least a year that has gone by for some of you between having dealt with this person previously. And it almost feels that what they show to you is that in the silence, in the separation, they've really worked on some things. They've cut away from some cycles for themselves. They've cultivated other kind of like healthier and better habits for them. So you're really faced with this choice, kind of like who to choose, who to select as my companion, who to walk forth with into kind of this new future. And so again, something that's like the door is already sort of open. These people are most likely like in your energy field in some way. You may be perceiving like two distinct energies. Maybe it is your person from the past and somebody new that's incoming. They may introduce themselves, particularly if it's somebody from the past that's involved in this equation. You may almost sense kind of an influx or like a warming up of what might have been cold energy, and a sense of almost like territoriality that they are expressing at this point energetically, is like a prelude to their arrival back into your life in a material sense, because they are perceiving the arrival of this otherness, this newness, this energy that kind of like will sweep you off your feet in a lot of ways. It is coming to like deliver that cup of love to you that in the past this person was unwilling or unable to give. If this doesn't have to do with anyone from your past, and these are like two different kind of people, two brand new individuals, you have no history with them, at least in this lifetime. The idea of the world can talk about past life relationships. So, again, that can add into the element of choice that these are both past life soulmates. There's a sense of familiarity. They feed a different part of you at a soul level, which kind of adds to that element of the difficulty of choice, who to choose. Because kind of like moving forward with one, it almost feels like closes out a narrative arc with the other. So you're in a sense kind of like setting off to complete business, like unfinished business with both of these individuals, both in who you choose and who you decide not to kind of reciprocate love with. So in the case of like two new people coming towards you, this may be something where, you're starting to attract a lot of attention, or there's this sense of almost anticipation that like something's coming, but you don't really know who. Maybe there's nobody from the past that you've been waiting for. You closed out that door. There was never anyone from the past you're waiting for. And this is an indication again of like two big loves coming towards you, two people that have this making of something long-term, something serious, something that, kind of like opens your eyes to a new sort of experience of love, or provides for you kind of that full circle reciprocity of the love that you've been giving in vain to others, or kind of this cup of love that you have held within. This love of self with the sun here that you've really cultivated, and there's been this kind of urge. Your heart is open. You're ready to reciprocate with another. You've kind of like reached the stage in your journey where you're okay by yourself. You're standing in your power. You're standing in your truth. You're loving yourself fearlessly. You've had some kind of glow up in some manner, and it is that kind of vibration that you've cultivated within you, kind of standing very patiently in this energy of receptivity that is calling in these energies. So something again where you're able to kind of perceive it at this point in time, the entry or kind of the arrival or moving closer into your orbit of different potentials, something that's different from just kind of this solo sort of going at yourself kind of energy, which may be filling you again with a sense of like what's coming. There could be a little bit of anxiety with this as well, kind of like racing thoughts. You're not sure if this is going to be something good, if this is going to be kind of like who's going to turn up next, especially if your romantic history was sort of dicey. You've only recently kind of opened those gates to the heart once again, a little more cautious, a little more discerning at this point in time, definitely standing in your power. These are two confirmations of that from Spirit, to really trust in your intuition and your ability to discern that both of these are very solid and reliable choices here, this Knight of Cups and the King of Pentacles. But they have something very different to offer. They unlock a different type of future for you. And so it's really, the Sun is talking about this element of celebration here, and that this is a good thing that you're going to have this choice. For some of you, it's like you've needed this. It's kind of been cobwebs as far as your love life has been concerned. And so this can be that kind of message from Spirit to, get ready, prepare yourself, get excited, because you're in the season of receiving, kind of the beacon you are sending out, the glow that you are emitting. That frequency is being picked up on by not just one potential suitor, but, two very strong candidates for long-term potential. And it doesn't have to just be limited to these two people. This is such like a magnetic energy right here. You might be getting a lot of attention, but from out of this kind of like pool of individuals, all these possible, suitors or people who express interest, some that you'll sort of strike up a conversation with, others where you're just like, no, that's not really what I'm looking for. It doesn't, feel like a vibrational match. Out of this kind of all of what you are magnetizing in. There's a sense of, you'll have more than one option. So kind of the encouragement of not just settling for the first thing that comes along, because you're in this very kind of like magnetic vibration at this point in time. You do have the ability to discern, and it's kind of like go it very slow, and just be patient. And these, again, kind of like two very different individuals. You'll have like a true element of choice on your hands that might be quite a contrast from the period of time you've been in recently, or even for like a longer phase in your romantic life. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got Y, C, F, D, S, V, K, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the blue Kyanite. So I'm going to use the tarot to see what does Spirit want you to know right now about love and romance. Okay, so we got the Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Ace of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Nine of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. The World, which is fixed energy, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. Four of Pentacles, so more earth energy. And Eight of Pentacles, so earth energy again. And with this Four of Pentacles to the Eight of Pentacles, I was hearing quantum leap. So it definitely feels like somebody who is opening their heart to love again, and is getting ready to make some kind of offer to you. So this could apply to somebody from the past that you have been in separation with. It has come to a close. You've given yourself your own closure. You've picked up the pieces. You've gained the wisdom. You've worked to kind of like rebuild your self-esteem. You've directed the focus toward abundance, toward loving yourself, learning the lessons, doing the work within. And it's almost like now this individual is sort of like ready to resurface. And this may be something that is filling you with a sense of kind of like panic and anxiety, a sense of like, I've already moved on from this situation. Why is this person coming back now? It may even be a little bit of where you're feeling like too little too late. That can be sort of like the first impression, or instinctually is what it's feeling like, would be what some people who are hearing this message would think, like, it's too late. They had their opportunity. I've created my closure. I've moved forward in other kind of ways. And so it might be something that is kind of viewed as a negative, this idea of someone from the past returning, a very particular somebody that you had waited for. You'd kept the door open. You'd kept the light on for this person, to no avail. You almost like reached a point of no return, that there was no choice. It was almost you and kind of moving towards your future, or continuing to sort of like hold on and just sort of stand in place and limit yourself in terms of possibilities and potentials. It may have been something that was actually draining or very detrimental to your mental health, your energetic health, your emotional well-being. Just in all ways, it became very necessary to create closure for yourself, to detach and move forward. So this can be kind of that indicator to you that if that is what you're feeling about this person, and they, have that quantum leap, they open their heart, they're ready to make that apology, ready to make that offer. It's coming up almost with like two sort of threads to that. For some of you, you're going to be really surprised, kind of as you're sitting now, just sort of hearing this and the energy that you're in and thinking like it's too little too late. For some of you, this is going to be somebody with that idea of like a quantum leap, that in practicality, when they materialize before you, when they bring something forth, it's so obvious that they have like changed, they have evolved, they have grown, they have undergone some profound transformation. This may be like physically evident with them. This could have to do with like a full life makeover, that they're doing something different for work. They've cut away from toxic patterns and relationships. Even if it was like a relationship they were in, a choice that was made, you were made to feel like a third party, for example. It's almost like that situation has come to a close. There's no more baggage. There's no more waiting, and it's something to where what they're demonstrating, it almost gives you a pause. It kind of like stops you in your tracks, and you're going, maybe I'm not as over this person as I thought I was. Maybe this is something where I can listen to what they have to say, and it could open the lines to, this doesn't feel like anything that you'd be letting them in right away. Like trust would need to be built in the situation. But for some of you, it's almost like the way you're holding this right now could be evident of, still some like justifiable pain and kind of resentment that you're feeling within. But for some of you, kind of like what they bring forth to you, it's what you had always sort of hoped would happen, or, kind of like the best case scenario of what they could have grown into out of the version of themselves that they were occupying before. And so it gives you food for thought in a very positive way. For others of you, when this person resurfaces from the past, it is vindication for you, and it's almost a sense of like you're able to really truly create closure for yourself, or to validate or to reinforce the work that you've done within, to take back your power, to cultivate betterment for yourself out of this situation by not opening that door to them. And this may be something that's almost, when it comes to that action, when, kind of you're looking in the rearview mirror of how this all plays out, it's a sense of you're very proud of yourself. It demonstrates fundamentally that you haven't just set the intention, you haven't just been doing this work within yourself, but like you have fundamentally changed from the version of you that may have entertained a back and forth kind of energy before, that was allowing yourself to be made into an option. that you went through all of this anguish and you have reached a point of loving yourself enough to say, no, I truly deserve something better. And rather than that just being a mantra or an affirmation, like in practical application with these pentacles energy, this is like real world kind of energy right here. That you are really reinforcing for yourself that you're not just the full package, you're not just the 10, you're a 12. The work that you've done, you have surpassed what you had believed was like the best version of yourself, or kind of the strength you had been trying to cultivate within, but that there hadn't necessarily been an ability to sort of put that into practice, put it into play. You hadn't been faced by or challenged by almost the element of temptation, something that's kind of like could try to lure you in. Like it looks really good on paper. Maybe this person even has undergone these substantial fundamental changes within themselves. They have something to offer, but it's almost like you've grown and evolved so far beyond that situation that it's almost like you give yourself that congratulation or the prize, kind of that final bit of glory out of this circumstance is seeing that even when put to the test, the work that you've done, the path that you had chosen to pick up the pieces for yourself, to do better, to expect better, to become better within, that this is rooted in material reality, that it has a firm foundation, that you've laid new roots for yourself inside, and what you are reaching toward, what you are branching out toward, what you are calling into yourself in terms of healthy, reciprocal, substantial partnerships, not things that are works in progress, but are like the real deal, have something to offer, something that you can work with in the here and now, that almost your dealings with this individual from the past and your response or reaction, maybe you outright reject them, maybe you leave their message unread, maybe you just block them altogether, you ignore them. It's going to be, you have a conversation and it's just, that's the closure. It's going to be different for everyone, but it's almost the sense of like, for some of you, not accepting that offer. This may even be something where if you tried to manifest this person back in and they're kind of like re-emerging from the past, and you were thinking, okay, when they arrive, I'm ready. This is what I want. I'm holding space by focusing on me, working toward me, kind of cultivating that abundance for myself. When they surface, it's almost like, oh, I don't know if I want to give to this situation. It seemed really like in theory or in thought that it was like, I was going to miss out if I didn't seize this opportunity when they came back around. It was something that you were very much like fixated on, or was even a motivator to these deep personal changes within yourself. But that again, it's this element of you've kind of like outgrown the connection in a certain way. It may even be something that it's just, when this person sort of resurfaces or tries to knock on the door in some manner, it's just from a very neutral perspective. You're like, whatever we had in the past, whatever that sense of alignment was, I'm not that person anymore. It's just not the same between us. And that again can be a sense of like personal empowerment, that your work, your growth, and your development, you're able to kind of like peel your gaze off of this circumstance, off of the situation, even off of needing to kind of like repair yourself in some manner. And you're a finished product in a lot of ways. It opens up other horizons for you as far as romance. It's a complete closing of a chapter. And for a lot of you, it's vindication on something with this kind of energy of anxiety where you've dealt with this as best as you could, and you never thought this person would return. It's kind of like when pigs fly, I'll see them again. They'll probably never come back. And lo and behold, here comes that message. Here comes that communication. Maybe even something that, reinforces for you, they're still at this kind of seed of potential. They're still not getting it. They still haven't taken those first steps within to heal and grow. And it allows you to really sort of, the energy of sort of what if and all these potentials, you're able to close that up for yourself and continue to move forward. It's proof, it's evidence that, you're kind of like light years beyond them. You are the one that has done that quantum leap. The other kind of element that is coming through here, for some of you as well, that like this person resurfacing in a variety of ways from the past doesn't apply to, that idea of quantum leap and somebody whose heart is open to love or open to love again. This can tie into the idea of somebody, perhaps a workplace connection, who is confessing for you feelings. Like it doesn't feel that they get all into the gooey emotions of things, but they may be somebody who like asks you out, and it's something that could be very startling because you almost didn't look at this person in that manner, and it doesn't feel to be like an absolute no. It's just something that really kind of catches you off guard. It stuns you in a sense. It gives you a lot to think about. It may be something where, you're needing to take that time to reflect. You don't give an immediate answer. Maybe it's even just something with kind of this the Ace of Pentacles, where they start to take a very kind of cordial relationship and try and make suggestions and leave these little breadcrumbs about, hey, maybe we could become something more. And it might fill you with a sense of kind of panic or anxiety of like, I don't know if I'm ready to love again. I don't know if I'm ready to go down this road. Maybe it's the circumstances with this individual. Maybe it's the fact that you've been kind of closed for spiritual maintenance. You've been working on yourself. And evidence to you also, again, that the work that you've been doing inside to heal, to grow, to focus on your abundance, you're sending out that radar of, people are going to respond to that. People are now, seeing you in a different light. You're getting more attention maybe than you have in a while, or that you have ever, depending on the nature of this glow up and kind of like where you are at. But it's something that might almost be a confidence boost for you of the stage that you're at in your life right now, what you've built, what you've cultivated within yourself, vibrationally in terms of your material world, the healing work you've done to kind of like sew up old wounds or, kind of release the past. And you're emanating this vibration or this frequency of calling in the new, calling in, adoration from others. And so it's something that can represent really this paradigm shift. It's like this leap of faith, following the world would be the fool. That's the new beginning. So this energy of kind of what Spirit's wanting to talk about here, it doesn't even need to be a coworker. It could just be somebody, maybe it's like a friend who asks you out or tries to take things to the next level. For some of you, this is something with that idea of quantum leap. Could be, a secret admirer emerging, shooting their shot, making themselves known, and kind of the panic of like, ooh, I don't know anything about this person. Maybe it's somebody who reaches out to you online with the idea of the world, and there's something where you don't necessarily immediately kind of dismiss this, but there's a need for sort of like discernment. Like, I need to get to know you better. I need to kind of feel the situation out a little more. This may be proof for you as well of how you've grown and evolved, where in the past you may have been very quick to sort of, leap at attention or to respond to people that were directing that kind of energy to you. And it's really, it's an indicator for you, sort of your response to this circumstance, that you have grown, that you have matured, that you have learned from the past. And it's an energy with all of these kind of like pentacles here, that it takes time. It may just be sort of the opening of the door to getting to know somebody better. If it's a secret admirer, like the idea of a friend, sort of trying to take things to the next level, a coworker in some way, it doesn't feel to be necessarily like immediate rejection. It's just something where you're going to need to take time to develop things. And so with that is kind of the guidance to go slowly, do your research, take the time to learn, take the time to like vet this person out. If it's a new person, somebody you're familiar with that's trying to expand the parameters of the connection, or even somebody from the past, that definitely discernment, taking a very methodical approach, a very practical approach to the situation will serve you very well, trusting in your heart above all else in order to, determine kind of like who to exchange with, who to open up with, who to allow into your world. Because overall, no matter what scenario you really fit into, there's an overarching theme here of a sense of, you've reached a level of self-mastery. You're kind of exuding this confidence and this self-love that others are finding very attractive. And there's really this opportunity to put that, the idea of self-love and discernment and standards and, kind of like healthy sort of, standards or kind of like barriers within yourself, raising that bar very high, that there's a sense of in practical application that serves you well. That these are not people, it feels like even if it's someone from the past, that they, for some of you, they may not be easily discouraged. They're going to try to put in that work. They're going to be consistent. They're going to come towards you with that knowing that it's not going to be so quick to just get through the door. For others of you, where the person hasn't evolved, they try that same approach and method, and it's something where you almost just outshine them. It's very easy to just kind of deflect that away, and off they go back just into that almost like that low or very kind of base vibration that they were operating at. But for others of you, it's something where, kind of like holding that ground, holding that standard, that vibration within you is definitely the most conducive recipe to really being able to sense and see who is willing and able to kind of rise to meet me at that level, who's willing to, invest and sort of prove their dedication, follow through on promises that are made with actions. It's the energy of really taking the time to get to know someone, really taking the time to kind of evaluate and suss out a situation. But also with all of these Pentacles energies, it feels like either whoever's approaching or returning, or whatever happens in those situations, if these are things you don't choose to participate in, that this is almost the hallmark that you have entered a new stage. You have closed out one particular cycle of how you've been showing up in partnerships, or even the types of people you've been calling into your reality. And this energy of the new beginning for you, the Fool energy, it's solid, it's stable, it's reliable. It's something that, you've kind of like, you've entered into this phase or into this realm of really being able to call into your material reality and sustain substantial partnerships, reliable partnerships, people that are very authentic, are trustworthy, a very different caliber of people than you had been dealing with previously. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got Y, B, F, L, X, E, W, Q, A, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box, as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. You chose the Rose Quartz. So I'm going to be using tarot to see what Spirit wants you to know about love and romance at this time. Okay, we've got the Knight of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Knight of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Eight of Cups, so more water energy. The Moon, which is Pisces and Cancer. Six of Cups, so more water energy. And Four of Pentacles, more earth energy. So with this Six of Cups, this is definitely the energy of reconciliation, reconnection, somebody that you have been in kind of a dark phase with. It's been radio silence, someone who walked away from you, maybe rejected your cup of love in the past. This could have been something that it was a very volatile connection, a lot of back and forth, a lot of hot and cold energy, sort of like runner chaser energy, or something where, maybe you're kind of like making up and breaking up a lot of these cycles of maybe some darkness and toxicity that you have been experiencing. It looks like for some of you, at long last, this person with this Knight of Pentacles here is coming forth to try and make the matters right, to try and restore the situation, to try and smooth things over, perhaps in a form of apology. Maybe if this is somebody who had denied their feelings for you in the past, it's almost like time and space and this very kind of deliberate energy, this long-term energy, some kind of truth that they had hidden within, feelings that they always harbored for you, but for whatever circumstances, maybe fear, maybe other obstacles that were in place with the idea of the two knights. Maybe this was you or the other person was in another connection. There was like a third party energy that was a direct and literal block to the circumstance. And as painful as that was, it was a lot of like unactualized potential between the two of you, or a choice was made to walk away from the possibilities in this situation back in another direction. It feels like this individual is circling back around for a lot of you, wanting to not just give you peace of mind in some way, but with this kind of single cup right here, adding into these 8 cups, it's almost like wanting to bring forth an energy of satisfaction, wanting to at long last reveal this personal truth that they have been holding within. Words that could not be spoken for whatever reason. They're coming forth with kind of a beginner's mind in some way. Can we start again? Can we try again? Almost a sense of kind of like, I see the light. It has taken me a very long time to work up the courage to come to this place of revelation. It has taken me, a lot of kind of trials and tribulations, having to sort of go out on an adventure in some manner, to experience both the good and the bad, kind of the light and shadow of what existed on the other side of the connection, to really see and understand this situation is worth preserving. This situation is worth fighting for. This can even be something with this Four of Pentacles. This indicates kind of like watching and waiting. This person may have been kind of like keeping tabs on you from afar, even though they walked away from the situation. If there had been like other sort of cycles that were at play, other things that needed to play out, that needed to be closed out in your life, closed out on their life, it almost feels that periodically they would sort of check in to get kind of like a progress report in some manner, to see, and it feels like tangibly so. So maybe like researching, Googling, looking things up, some kind of like a method or a medium that they had to like check in with you in a real-time sense, to almost like zoom in on what was happening in your life, that it almost feels, a necessary amount of time has gone by, or a cycle has been not just kind of like closed and cleared out, but that there's been some kind of fresh start, like a return to innocence for you or for them in a lot of ways. So this may be something where if they needed to detach from a karmic cycle, they didn't just want to run forth to you. They needed some time to pass, maybe as a matter of like decorum or for appearances, so they weren't just kind of leaping from one situation to another. For others, this is going to be something where they needed time to heal. They really needed time to find themselves. This can tie into why the cup of love was rejected in the past. Maybe they had just come out of something long-term, or still hadn't, maybe they were still holding on to resentment from, or bitterness or wounds or darkness from some kind of situation from their past. And it was almost just like they couldn't bring themselves to step through that door and have kind of since retreated into this energy of shadow work. Some kind of a period of necessary separation has occurred here, and that this has been an offer that has been a long time in coming. It's bringing to mind the idea of somebody that you haven't seen maybe in years. This may have been, not just where like, okay, they've gotten out of a relationship and a month later they're going to reach out to you. But it's almost something to where, kind of with this idea of like Six of Cups, this very innocent childlike energy. And then we come over here to, this more mature energy, this discerning energy of the Four of Pentacles. So it's something where, growth and evolution has taken place. This person may have needed to reestablish themselves in some manner, heal, grow, find themselves, allowing you that time and space as well. If you were the one in another circumstance and that they chose to not continue to participate further with you. Maybe you're the one that chose to kind of revert back to another situation and not actualize the potential of what was available here in this circumstance. Nevertheless, this individual has kind of like kept these tabs on you, and it feels like something where now they're getting ready to resurface. Now they're feeling either for themselves or what they're able to kind of discern and decipher from you and about you, that enough time has gone by that you must have sufficiently done some healing work, some release, some growth beyond whatever the previous circumstances were for themselves. They've done that healing, they've done that release, they've done that growth beyond what those previous circumstances were. They feel to be in a much better place. It's almost like there's still a bit of hesitancy and guardedness to where it's almost the energy of kind of like lurking around. So this may even be something that this is kind of like a prelude of things to come, where you might be sensing them sort of around you, kind of a questioning of like, are they ever going to come back? You're just kind of going through the motions, and this can be this indicator, almost like a shadowy energy of the Knight of Pentacles that like overthinks, over strategizes, over plans, that they've detached from the situation in a material sense seemingly, but emotionally they're still very much invested in this. They're still kind of like, they've got their back turned, but the door is still open. They haven't completely closed off to the possibility of this situation. They have something that they want to say to you, but maybe they are still kind of in this period of, they've kind of like, they've done their travels, the time has happened, the ship is back in at port. They've got some kind of a message to deliver to you, some kind of wisdom, something that has grown or something substantial to offer. But now it's at this kind of point of, just waiting for that right time, waiting for a particular occasion, waiting for a particular moment, something that doesn't feel to be very far off in the future, but this might even be something with this idea of like the moon, of kind of like within the next 30 days, this person may be like circling back around to you, coming forth to you, not just energetically as may have been the case, with all this kind of emotional energy, this watery energy right here. It feels that there's definitely probably some strong like empathic bond between you. You've been with one another through kind of these ups and downs. It almost feels like something that it was very heartbreaking for each of you to have to kind of walk away from the circumstance, but that there may have been other sort of factors at play, other wedges and obstacles that it was like at the time there were too many other complications in the way for this situation to really get off the ground. But now, after kind of these other things have played out, it's like the circumstances are right, and they're kind of like moving closer into you, not wanting to come in impulsively, but wanting to come in this very like discerning and trustworthy energy. They may be very fearful that you are no longer trusting of them, that you're a bit skittish of them, that you will, kind of veil yourself from them in a way, or just kind of like shut down or respond to them with like a cold shoulder based on things that have happened or a particular choice that they made to kind of like move in another direction or be very stubborn or even sort of reject you in the past. But there's a softening here, that it's almost going from this, very rigid and kind of like fixed energy of the Knight of Pentacles, and then it's kind of like it's opened up to this Four of Pentacles. There's like an open chest here. There's a lot that they want to say, conversations that may be long overdue, heart-to-heart conversations where they're really wanting to get to the truth of the matter, something that they should have said long ago, something that they wish they could have done long ago. A lot that this person, it feels like, is getting ready to reveal to you as far as their motivation actions, for the choices that they made in the past. If this was something where it was like a very volatile back and forth situation, kind of like you're making up and you're breaking up, and then sort of the disconnect happens and it's been this period of silence, it feels to be something where kind of in this mystery area where you're like, you weren't really sure what was happening. You thought it was maybe just the end. That was that. Too bad. It's, horrible that it didn't work out. Or, it's just been something where you both have really occupied a space within your hearts. It feels like something that on some level they may have understood that kind of their volatility, or their inability rather, to kind of build beyond those 8 cups, to only kind of invest so far and then get kind of cold feet or self-sabotage, may have had to do with like wounds from the past, things they were still holding on to, fear of commitment for some people, or some kind of like residual heartbreak that they were holding on to that was like buried deep within. This may be somebody that has gotten like self-help or therapy, or they've been through this almost journey into their own shadow, maybe through various spiritual techniques. This could be something where, they walked away and kind of there was a humbling that occurred in some manner. So like tower moments, dark night of the soul, and they are now emerging wiser, more capable, less fearful, willing to start again, but to really just take things slowly. So this isn't going to be somebody that's going to, come in and divulge everything. It feels like what they have to present to you, it's a source of intrigue. It's something where you're not shutting the door to them right away. You're going to hear them out. You're going to be very compelled to hear them out. Because of the approach, it feels that they come forth in a very calm manner, and with an openness, willing to talk about things that in the past they may have shied away from. This is someone who's willing to kind of like touch on that darkness, that those kind of hidden things. They're willing to answer your questions. They really, are kind of consistent in that delivery, in that proof of, I'm re-emerging. I'm reapproaching after what might have been a very long time, and I'm ready to invest. I'm ready to, explore the potential of maybe what we should have become long ago, but couldn't for various reasons. Somebody, it feels like, who has gained a level of self-awareness in a way to where, they're able to kind of like piece together and explain some of these motivations, some of these factors or these hindrances. They're able to really directly sort of address the reasons why they chose not to invest with this connection in the past, why they chose to reject the cup of love, why they chose to move in another direction, or just kind of like keep themselves closed off. When you parted ways and that it's taken them some time to return, they have something to bring. They have this kind of like plethora of wisdom and knowledge to bring forth to them. This can also, though, as an alternative sort of story, because for not everyone is it going to be someone from the past, returning, but this can definitely tie into kind of like a new suitor who approaches, somebody who has been watching from the wings for quite some time, observing you. With this idea of like these kind of coins and pentacles that are accumulated here, this can definitely be somebody who, maybe has found you on social media in some way. If you have like a social media presence, they've been watching you for quite some time. This can be somebody from the workplace who's been kind of, keeping it very cordial, but all the while they've been kind of like taking note. These feelings within them have been building. They may be somebody who's a bit kind of like shy, logical, a very practical person in general. So matters of the heart, talking about feelings, could be like all new territory for them. It may have been something where there's been several kind of attempts. They've fumbled the ball a couple of times, something where there could be a lot of awkwardness with this person at times, where they almost, maybe can't make eye contact with you. They get really nervous and kind of like run off. There's a bit of like flirtation, and then the next day they sort of stonewall you in some manner. Somebody who's very mysterious, somebody who may kind of like keep to themselves, or, the true nature of their intentions, something with all these cups, again, that there's like an empathic bond. You can sense that there's something this person is hiding, and it's almost this energy of trying to approach it very kind of innocently, trying to expect, the best in the circumstance, but it's something to where you might find yourself even being a bit on guard with this person just because of how they've been up to this point in time, this kind of wishy-washy, hot and cold. But it does feel that if it's, this person kind of making this approach, if it's someone you're familiar with in kind of the tangible sense, maybe it's even a friend declaring feelings, that they come forth in a very, it almost feels like direct, a basic kind of way. It's very transparent. It's not somebody who's just going to kind of beat around the bush. They're going to get right to the point. It's just like asking you out. Making no bones about it. They're very much to the point, and it's something which it's an amount of clarity it's like a yes or no kind of question. So that's definitely something that could be on sort of the horizon for you. This can also, if it's like secret admirer sort of energy, they come towards you almost wanting to not cause you to put up your guard in some manner. So they may come forth and almost try to establish something on a friendship level that might kind of set your spidey senses off, because you can sense that they're holding something back. They may be guarding their energy, shielding their energy, maybe with all these watery cards right here, and especially with the moon. Maybe you're a very intuitive person, a psychic person, and this individual knows that, and so they come forth almost guarded. They don't want you to see too much into them too soon. And so it might be kind of like you're needing to kind of tiptoe with one another, a little bit of a dance into, just kind of pleasantries and kind of surface level things, sort of feeling each other out. Two people kind of like tapping into the energy of one another, but from sort of a restrained stance. So in that, it's like there's all this kind of potential. It feels like something that, if this is a new person, whether that's kind of like coworker, friend, or even secret admirer, kind of like coming out of these shadow energies, making themselves known to you, revealing themselves to you. It's unknown sort of what that can develop to. But with that and they may just come at like a surface level, trying to, just strike up pleasant conversation. Maybe you run some kind of a business and they come to you with services, and they keep coming back. They keep making up excuses to like be in your energy, be in your presence, asking questions or trying to be helpful in some manner, trying to just sort of cloak or mask their energy to where it's just innocence, where they're not wanting you to see into the heart of the matter, which is that they have almost like accumulated a lot of feelings for you and have maybe tried to approach from different angles for a while and have kind of talked themselves out of it at the last minute. There's a sense of like a cloaked energy where they don't want you to fully understand and realize what is at the heart of the matter. And so it remains to be seen kind of like what develops out of that. But in this context, for the purposes of this reading of like, what does Spirit want you to know about love and romance, that this particular person that is coming forth almost with excuses or pleasantries or like wanting to establish a friendship, or again, like asking for help, having a lot of questions, just sort of like frequenting your establishment in some way, whatever that resonates as, that there's a lot more than meets the eye. Your spidey sense is really picking up on this person trying to like shield and hide from you, at least for the time being. At least it feels like with good intentions. They want to try to do things in a manner that may be very contrary to, how other people approach you or they perceive other people approach you. Something, contrary to their history in romance and love, or maybe this is just the type of person they are, where they understand fundamentally that it's very important to build that kind of friendship of the element of friendship, or like a foundation of camaraderie, of shared interest, mutual respect with one another before opening the doors to romance, because it's from that foundation that the flow of these different kind of emotional energies and passion have the best sort of chance for success. So this is somebody who, wants to get to know you, wants to invest in this in long term. They're going to take their time. They're not going to show all their cards right away. They're not going to reveal everything right away. And you're most likely going to be able to sense that there's something more than meets the eye. And so this is that kind of peek behind the curtain. What's more than meets the eye? What is kind of that other shoe that's ready to drop? Is that they have very deep feelings for you, and have for quite some time. They've been very attracted, very kind of entranced by you in some way. It's taken a lot of courage. It's taken them a long time to move towards you. But when they do come out of the shadows, when they do make themselves known, when they do approach, when they do announce themselves to you, it's like they have plenty in reserves. It's like a plan or a strategy put into place where, they're looking at this with long-term potential. It's a patient energy, but at the same time, they're not trying to play with you. They're not trying to waste your time. They're just trying to, build very gradually gradually and organically, like lay all these different sort of seeds of potential so that hopefully something can flourish into what they are largely intending to be a long-term relationship with you. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, C, P, J, K, N, R, I, M, O, and S. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.